Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Making Money Trading Stocks and ETFs for Friday, the 18th of May. We're halfway through the month of May. Gosh, where's the time of the year going? Today's market has basically almost like done nothing. It is option expiration and the monthly option expiration day, which is typically has a slight bias to the upside. Kind of questionable whether, right now we're just kind of like stagnated and going nowhere. And so let me find, there we go. Come back to that a little bit later. I want to remind everybody that all the materials we do present are for training purposes only. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. Yeah, it's so amazing. I've been trading now for a living for 12 years, and I continue to sharpen the saw, continue to try to put a new edge on things. Not so much edge, just to stay where we do have an edge, and I'm very pleased with how we've been doing so far this year. Could we be doing better? You betcha. But at the same time, this has been a give or take kind of year as far as this crazy market has been. So we'll continue to, work the system as we can. Remember, the best trade of the year comes around every 2 to 3 weeks. So be patient. The objective of the Making Money Trading Stocks and ETFs webinar is to see if there's any timely actionable intel for our review at the end of the week that we can take in, or so we can plan for going into next week. The market has been both giving and taking this week. As I said, we've just basically been chopping around, not getting a lot of traction to go in either direction. And there are some exceptions to that, but we'll cover that shortly when we start to take a look at ETF stock performance, bonus trades if we have any. And so here's where we're sitting as of the end of the week. The Dow just slightly positive for the year, slightly down from last year's high. S&P slightly positive for the year. The NASDAQ Composite and the Russell have been basically our strongest performing indexes. But considering the strength that we saw last year, have been doing, except, this is not a bad return for a year where the previous year had been so strong. So we'll see what transpires from here. I want to remind everybody that I will be in town there in San Jose on the 2nd of June. We will be having a Bay Area Moneymaker meeting there. We're going to try to hold that meeting jointly with the Silicon Valley options groups. I will be talking about cash flow type option trades, which is going to be inclusive of spreads and just selling premium to generate a weekly to monthly income, utilizing weekly of course, weekly options. And so that's what we're going to be doing there. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these charts we've been talking about. As I said, I will be, let's see, don't want that one. Don't want that one. I want this one. For the premium members, I will be forwarding on a link that you can then download this new TSI indicator that basically was shared on a chat room that I also am a member of, and I thought, since I love trading TSI, I thought that this was a nice addition to what we're doing with active trend trading. And as you can see, what it gives you is basically this has all been set up 883 exponential. And at the plus or minus 45 is where it's identifying where it's oversold, overbought. You can modify that if you want. You can modify the time settings, and it gives you the crossover arrows both to the downside and to the upside. So it's kind of cool. Okay, let's take a look at what is the spiders doing. And well, let's let the spiders be our alternative 4, the S&P. And so here's an interesting little dilemma that may be shaping up here. We'll see. I want to activate that. Okay, we're all aware that we had this nice little triangle working out that was broken out from on a weekly basis earlier this week. You see, broke out, and then, but now we're revisiting down inside it. If we get a hard sell into this area of the triangle, let's say we drop below this, I would say the 270 area, then that could set us up for a fall all the way down to the bottom of the triangle. That is also an extremely weakness revealing move, a bearish move, if you will, where you've broken out from a triangle, a formation, and then you fall back down into it. Now, if we're just coming down to bounce a little bit and then resume the uptrend, then we're probably looking at a return back up to 288. However, the market seems to be very indecisive about what it wants to be doing, and so we'll keep an eye on that. Again, it's just kind of doing this little. It's almost like it's developed its own secondary little wedge here, a little pennant type pattern. You can see that. We can just draw that in like this. Draw that in like this. Blow that up a little bit more. And slide this out to take a look at it. Got this little kind of pennant type pattern. Here's the, and I won't call it a flag pattern, but here's the flagpole, if you will, pennant. Now, if it breaks out, we're probably going to run as far as the flagpole at a minimum, which would probably take us up to about the 285 area. We'll take a look at that here shortly. Breaks down, we're probably going down to the bottom of this larger triangle. As I can say, just a little bit of confusing picture on the index for what it is, what it's trying to tell us. So what would that give us? Let's just take a real quick look here. Always interesting. So if this is a flagpole type thing, take it to there, and let's activate that, move it up to a breakout above or from that same flagpole. As you can see, it takes you just slightly above this previous high, but that would be your projected move, somewhere about the 288 level. And so that's what we're looking at with S&P. S&P daily looks like it wants to roll over and fall back down and hit resistance at the 45 level as far as being overbought. We'll see if it does in fact follow through to the downside. We have QQQ. Again, QQQ also, what's it looking like on a weekly chart? Well, on a weekly chart, that is all, if it drops just a little bit more today down into the 165.71 area, that would be considered a dark cloud, which is a bearish reversal signal also. Where's it going to take us? We don't know. But it's getting that same kind of little formation, a little bit of a pennant formation on which, if it breaks out the bottom of it, breaks this 167 level or 165 level, we're probably going to go back here down here, revisit the moving averages, or even back to the pennant line or this downtrending line, which is where it will kiss this potential downtrend goodbye and bounce higher, or it will fall further down into this level between 152 and up to about 156. Daily, now look what we've got. We've got, isn't that interesting? We have had a crossover on the TSI. And we can anticipate until we take out this high again, this will basically generate more selling. We're getting a crossover here. We just got slightly above the zero line on a weekly chart. Looks like it may start to roll over. I wouldn't be buying any puts right now. I wouldn't buy any puts right now, but I'd be definitely looking at this first part of next week. There's a lot of stuff on the table this weekend. There's going to be, this market has become very news driven. We've got a lot of things going on with China, the trade deals. We've got a lot of things going on with South and North Korea, with the talks that are going on there. And so, it's going to be very interesting on how this all turns out. If it goes south over the weekend, we could wake up to a big gap down first thing Monday morning. If they get it all resolved and everything looks hunky-dory through the weekend, like everything's going to come off without a hitch, then we could wake up to a gap up on Monday morning. So, as I said, the market has become just kind of like very news-driven over the last, almost since the end of January. So, okay, that's what we've got on the Qs. And while we're sitting in there, yeah, you're absolutely right, Eric. And this is something to take a look at. We've got the TSI turnover. He basically said the TSI on the daily is turned over with conviction. It certainly has. But look what price action has done. Okay, not quite the same conviction of selling off. What's happened in the past? It is putting a nice little, kind of like topping formation like we had earlier in February, where we got this other, topping signal. Let me get this. There we go. So we get this other topping, get a crossover, blows down through the and really wound up in a really good sell-off. Will we get the similar thing over here? Don't know. The other thing that we can do, if we want to flip out of this, let me get out of that drawing, we can actually go in here and draw in a trend channel. And let's just take it. Let's take it from about here to there. Raise it on up. And as you can see, over the last couple of months, we have been working within this trend channel here. And so we are at towards the high of it. And so we would anticipate, hey, we could basically maintain the uptrend trend, but actually sell off all the way back down into the 162 level. So, it's about $5 to the downside, IWM. IWM has been like just, we were waiting for the Russell to catch up. Well, the Russell has done more than catch up. We now have a busted ascending triangle to the upside, as we can see here. With an upside target, we basically projected an upside target a couple of different ways. I'll just throw one on there for your Shinsegae. This is based on the Fibonacci's. Okay, we have almost reached the 100% of this first thrust, recover, thrust again. So that 100% gain is our move from the lows back up here to match this symmetry trade here earlier in the year is almost done. Okay, well, where's the next target if that one's almost done? Well, that puts us up here at the 170 level, about another $8 or $9 above that. Actually, it's 169.70. So if we do break out above the 162 level, look for a little bit of pullback and a move higher into that level. And speaking about pullbacks, I'm going to be doing a session. I think I'm going to do it this coming Wednesday night for our premium members. And it's going to be the psychology of a pullback to give better understanding, better clarity of why it is so important to take pullback trades when the market is trending. Very, very, very important stuff. So last but not least, let's take a real quick look at Tesla. No, not Tesla. I want to take a look at Baba. Okay, Baba's recovering a little bit, but look what's going on here in this Baba trade. It's done this a couple of times here. One was earlier in the year. It came up and we basically got a TSI crossover twice, once here, and now we just got a TSI crossover again. And as you see, these topping, and the old trading adage is that topping is more of a process while bottoming is more of an event. And in other words, they basically bottoming tends to be more sharp in its return. So what are we getting here? Okay, we've got a nice support zone, a resistance zone between 200 and 195. We basically, as you can see, all these long tailed candles up here near the close says that sellers have been coming in and driving price down. Now, over the last little bit, buyers have been coming in about 194 to 190, to 190, about 193.30 to buy the price back up. When price action gets back down to those levels, if the buyers stand aside, we can basically say, okay, stand by for BABA to take a spill into the, down into these levels. Will it make it back to the 170 level? I don't know for sure, but if it does what it's done now since December, where it's dropped to the 170 or even lower, pulled on up to the 200 to 205 level, then return, and it's done that once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, where it's made that $30+ run. So it looks like it wants to set itself up to make a $30 run down to the downside. And that'd actually be about $25 to get down to 170. So I'm watching that succinctly. We're getting some really good, as you can see. We're almost back up to old highs, but TSI on a weekly chart is showing that it's not very powerful at all. So I hope that that's that one. Then I want to just share real quickly what's going on with one of the other. Okay, if we roll over and take a look at gold, what's going on with gold? And I'm going to start with the futures and then work our way back. Okay, here is the, get rid of the month of that future so we can get a better picture here. Okay, let's just take a look at over this past week, this is a weekly chart here. Over the past, since April, we've done pullbacks on a weekly basis. Pullback until we are now at the uptrending line. So the uptrend is still intact. And so if we are at, and when I say at, that's an approximation, because when you draw a trend line, it's your trend line is not going to be to the exact penny of where the pullback or where the trend actually is. It's just to give us an idea. When we approach that zone, we want to be ready for action. As we see, we have approached that zone. We want to be ready for action. And so this looks like, okay, hasn't signaled anything to us on a daily chart, on a weekly chart, but the TSI on a daily chart is down towards the negative 45, which in the past has been basically the reversal area for prices in gold on a daily basis. So it, in reality, it may have some more to fall, especially if it breaks below this trend line. But for the interim, for the right now, we have to, I have to assume that this area of support, based on the trend line, based on where it's fallen to, based on these long tails of these daily candles, will hold. So if that's my thesis, if you will, then I can go over to a couple of things. I can go over to GLD. And again, what are we getting ready for? We're getting ready for the the June-July bounce that tends to happen. And so I can wait for a reversal signal on my weekly chart, or I can go over here and just trade this off my daily chart. I can say, okay, do I want to either buy GLD, or would I like to, we got to wrap this up pretty quick because I'm already past my 15. Or I can buy a call option that's going to expire out in September, with the anticipation that we are going to get a run that's going to take us back up to the 28 or even to the 30 level. And so that's what I'll be evaluating. So then how does that relate over to JNUG? Well, JNUG is getting a bullish engulfing over the last 3 days, engulfing the past 3 days with a little bit of a TSI turn up. So I could basically, I'm almost to the place where I can buy JNUG on a move up. Not quite as low in the range as I would like it to be, but something I have to be aware of right now, that JNUG may be getting set up to do a big run. So, okay, so that takes care of that, took care of JNUG, takes care of the other one. Susan asked me, can you look at MGA? Now, normally, Susan, I don't do that during this particular hour, but because it's you, I'll do that real quick. MGA. What is MGA? Okay, I don't know that much about. Okay, MGA had a really nice move up. We were getting daily volume, average a little bit over 1.2 mil. It has reached up to what is probably, let's take a look at it. Yeah, this basically go back to this longer term chart. It has reached up to all-time new high. I would look at trading this against any kind of pullback towards the 60. And of course, I would want its fundamentals to work out. But yeah, this breakout here. Now, it may not, when I say a pullback towards, I just want to make absolutely clear on that, what I'm talking about. Pullback towards is, okay, if here's my breakout level here, and I think it's actually about here. Now, am I expecting, when I say pullback, am I expecting a pullback all the way to there? No, not necessarily, but I would like to see a pullback towards that. Now, I can do a couple of things, and I'll just show this to you really quick. I can take this. I can take a fib on this last surge up from this point here to that point. Where would a 50% pullback be? 50% pullback would put me down about $62, which is just a little bit above. So $62, $50, $63. If I get a pullback into that, then I would say, yeah, that would be something I would be interested in. Again, it has to, everything else has to check out on the stock, the fundamentals and all that kind of stuff. Weekly, daily, looks like the TSI is way overbought. And so we may get a rollover and a drop, and that would be indicative of just the pullback initially. So that's that one. Hope that helps. And then what's your other one? TJ Maxx. Is that TJ Maxx? TJX. Susan, is that TJ? Again, it's got earnings on the 22nd, so I wouldn't touch this until after earnings and then see which way it's going to go. It's got a nice little channel it's moving up in. So the 22nd is next Tuesday, and so that's what I would be waiting for. See what happens after Tuesday. If we get a breakout above these areas, and I would buy a pullback into the breakout after earnings. If we get a break down below this area, I'd want to see it build a new foundation to launch itself off of. So, okay, thanks for asking those questions. And okay, moving right along. Here's what we're doing as of the end of as of about 9 o'clock this morning. And I talked to the gold seasonality. I'm starting to we're honing in now on the June-July timeframe where gold tends to turn around. Seasonality on NASDAQ. NASDAQ seems to drive sideways May, June, July, or May and June, then gets a bid going into the end of the year. We'll see if that happens. We'll be watching that. Russell, yeah, a little bit of a, slightly uptrending through the month, but the Russell's been on a tear here of late. Not now. Anyway, so Russell, I really, really want Russell at the end of the year. And then I've highlighted here, just a highlight for premium members, this grub trade. And on this go no-go table, what I'm doing is I'm trying to put in here, if it pulls back to a certain area, take a trade. Now, I may not take that trade, not because I don't want to take the trade, but because I'm just I'm involved in some something else right now, and so I can't take the trade right. But I'm working this week to be able to not only identify where to take the trade, but I'll also get the alerts out to everybody to say, okay, here's where I'm planning to trade it. So as we see with Grub, and I'll just throw this up, what does it say here? You trade and buy pullbacks between 98 and 100. Well, if we would have done that this week, did Grub even give us an opportunity? Well, I don't know. Actually, I do know. In reality, Grub gave us a really awesome opportunity where it pulled back into the 50-day moving average at what level? 98.61, which is just below the 100, reversed off of that, and then yesterday bounded off the 100, and it reached 105 today. So this is a level of resistance up here at 105. But again, this pullback went right back to where we thought it was going to go. Let's throw a fib on that really quick to say, well, how far did it go? And you can say, just about to the 50. Now, those are the analysis I do every weekend on those charts that are on the stocks and ETFs that are on the Go No table for the premium members. And so that's why I hope you're taking a look at those when they come out either Saturday or Sunday. Here's where we're sitting on one of my strategy trades on IWM. Got taken out for a loss this week, 275 profit on the bear call spread on Qs. Baba, good trade, 242 on the strategy 3. And so far, I'm after trying to generate cash flow of about $500 to $1,000 a week. Average for the year so far, 323. So, okay, folks, that's it for today. Keep the egg growing, trade wisely, trade profitably. And in just a little bit over a half hour, we'll be ready to go with the final hour for our premium members. Thank you for joining us today, and as you can see, that's what I have to look down on every day, which I really like a lot. Anyway, until Monday, aloha, trade well, and prosper. And if you have any questions or anything, send me an email or call me. So until later, God bless everybody, and we'll see you premium members at 12 noon. Aloha.